A very good morning from the city of Kharkiv here in eastern Ukraine. We are about 30 kilometers away from the border with the evil empire, and on the surface everything seems fine here. But once you look a little bit closer, you'll see that it's far from that. Right behind me you can see a building already that is partially covered up with plywood where there used to be windows. You'll see that's a common trend here around me. The thing is, they keep it clean. There's no glass here, there's no projectiles laying around. That's because the city of 1.4 million, at least pre-war numbers, is still thriving despite many efforts of their evil neighbors to try and change that. Every piece of plywood in this building used to be a window. And after almost 1300 days of continuous assaults and war, replacing windows doesn't really cut it anymore. Plywood is the second choice. There's a group of Ukrainian tourists there. Once again, the building that's been destroyed, at least the windows have been blown up multiple times. Same goes for that building, that building, that building, and all buildings around us. You have to keep in mind that this is the center of a city of 1.4 million people, pre-war numbers, in Europe. You could probably make quite some beautiful TikTok and Instagram videos here as a tourist, but realizing that it's war here, yeah, not really my thing. I'm having a hard time filming what I want to film actually, just because I try to be as decent as possible. And the metro is right here, which is of course also a shelter. Even blown out windows become a piece of art in Ukraine. Coffee shop right here. Damaged building right above. Ukrainian flag, European flag, and I think a flag of the city of Kharkiv. I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments. I guess we're a little bit too close to see the entire building here. This is Kharkiv City Hall, which was directly struck by a Russian missile on the 1st of March 2022, destroying the entire building except for its sturdy walls. 29 people died instantly. The building is no longer in use. The invasion of Kharkiv failed completely, and Russia holds way less territory than it did in the first few weeks of the invasion. This is not a military post, this is a shrine. That's why I can film it, I can show you around. This monument, or shrine as I like to call it, has been on this spot for over a decade now, since Russia annexed Crimea and occupied parts of eastern Ukraine. It has grown over the years, but it also has become somewhat of a time capsule. So it has been 1,281 days that Ukraine is beating Russian ass. Completely destroyed in the first days of the war. Another direct hit. People's houses. The assault on the city of Kharkiv, of course, wasn't just to scare people here. It was meant to destroy the city just enough so the Russians could take it over. They've never made it this far, but the damage they did is permanent. A random neighborhood here in Kharkiv. This building doesn't have any windows, nor is there anyone working or living inside. That building only has one door and three panes of glass. The rest is plywood, so I assume people are still living there or working there. And this building is emptied out now, as it most likely doesn't have a roof anymore. Actually, one of its domes is severely damaged, but as you might or might not hear, there are sounds of music coming from this building. Look at all the damage. None of these buildings has a roof anymore. Suffered direct strikes by the Russians. You can even see the remains of an explosion here right in the corner. The damage across the street is of course all fragments. If it wasn't that this building is also completely destroyed. Again, this is a city of over 1 million people, second biggest in Ukraine. It looks like any other European city west of here, except for the fact that the Russians tried to occupy it and probably are still trying, but are utterly failing, to show that the Ukrainians don't just give up. You can hear the music in the background, and I probably have to censor it because of copyright, but I think it's Elvis Presley. I'll just have a look anyway. I'm walking towards the Lopan river here, towards the other side of Kharkiv. That's the central market complex of Kharkiv here. Just over the Lopan river. Along the banks of the Lopan river in downtown Kharkiv. One new building, one standing building, and one gutter building. And the cathedral. Buildings along the Lopan riverfront that were severely damaged early on in the war are being restored and will reopen soon. You might be able to hear it. There's the air raid alert. The entire eastern half of Ukraine has just come under alert. Let's hope we all stay safe. And I'm going to walk away from this little place I am now, just below the Ukrainian flag, as it's not the safest place to be. I got an emergency alert with sound on my phone. This is a different sound, so I'm going down into the metro here. Let's see what's going to happen. I think it just ended because it was really short. As the day progresses, I'm walking around the neighborhood just north of Independence Square, as this was close to my hotel. But it wasn't my final stop of the day. At the end of the day, we end up at Shevchenko Park, this time in Kharkiv. This beautifully maintained and well-manicured city garden is one of the most inviting and clean open spaces I've seen, possibly even topping Gardens by the Bay in Singapore. This is a place for locals to spend their afternoon and evening hours before the curfew kicks in, as this is unfortunately still a war zone with Russian attacks taking place almost on a daily basis nowadays. Thank you for watching and see you soon in another one.